All right, what's going on, guys? That should be working. Is that working? All right, nice. I'm just going to double check that that's working on everyone else's side, and then we can kick this off. Cool. Thanks, Jeffrey. What's going on, everyone? What's up, Dean? What's up, Frank? Zed, D. Callahan, B. Pine. What's going on, Void? It's on Poke Bitcoin. We're definitely gonna take a look at Bitcoin. Alts are pretty exciting, and there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about today, especially with that sentiment kind of earlier this morning, and what some people were throwing around in the sense that alts were dead. So it's kind of going to be definitely an interesting little thing I want to cover and kind of my thoughts there. What's up, Zed? Cool. But first, we're going to start with Bitcoin and then a ton of alt updates that I want to do. So let me get situated here. Should be good to go. And then also one new trade idea. It's one of those things, speaking with teams kind of on the ground, you got to learn maybe a little bit more, especially about their roadmaps or kind of things they have planned out, or maybe some stuff that they haven't made, haven't communicated fully, either on the roadmap or through their Medium or anything. So learned some cool stuff today about a platform that I like a lot. And I think some of you guys have been using the platform as well, so it could be a nice play. It's especially nice because I know there's some people wanting to get into masternodes, and this could be kind of a node system that may not have been announced yet. So interesting play there. We'll cover all that after Bitcoin, though. Make this a tiny bit smaller. All right. Cool. So looking at Bitcoin, guys, and following up from yesterday. And by the way, before I kick this off, got to meet two more members of the group today, and that's been my goal kind of for this year, is to meet everyone. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to meet everyone, but so cool. And I really am grateful to kind of meet everyone in person and get to talk about not even their experience here, but just their experience in crypto and what they're focused on. So thanks for coming out today. You too, you know who you are. I don't want to dox you. But thank you for coming out. Really cool. Anyways, looking at Bitcoin now and following up from yesterday's kind of what I was looking at in macro. You better get to Australia. I'm going to make it. Bitlord's been bugging me to come down to Australia or meet him in Southeast Asia. So I'm going to make that trip, and I definitely want to see you, Dean. I think there's actually a good amount of Australians in the group as well. So I've never been. Looking at Bitcoin macro-wise, what we've been looking at, these major levels, and then also kind of the shorter-term levels that we were looking at yesterday. Just a quick review and then kind of outlook from here. This fib resistance or kind of sell zone that eventually, the first time we passed through it, I was really shocked. Right? And I didn't understand how we were able to slice through and move right down. Now it kind of looks like a fake out. This second time is kind of more what I expected in this zone. I expected it to be pretty strong and to at least reject price once. Right? Once that happened, this drop was definitely scary on Monday. I think a lot of people kind of got worried again. I even saw a call for 7K again. Not that that's completely impossible or anything like that. I think we're trending up, and this was kind of, what was that, a $200 or $300 drop, and it definitely shook some people. So looking at where we are now, yesterday I kind of highlighted these the symmetrical triangle, these yellow dashed lines, and whether or not you like patterns or not, this could just be a very simple trend line, just connecting the bottom of this wick to the next wick and extending through. Interestingly enough, as price moved down and played out today, see if looks like I might have lost some people. Looks like I lost some people for a second, but we're back, I think. Cool. All right, so now that this support or this trendline support is held, and I also just don't think the entire market is going to be right. I don't think everyone's going to get a chance to get their bids filled at 8.4, 8.5. I think that's a little bit too attractive. And when everyone wants kind of a certain dip or everyone has a number picked out, it's almost like the 3K number, or it's almost also like 30K for Bitcoin. When everyone kind of has their eyes on one target, it doesn't seem to happen, right? So not everyone's going to be right. Not everyone's going to get their ideal entry, their attractive entry. So I do think that this is going to hold. This is giving me some more confidence now that it holds, right? This little trend line down here. I expect us to get a nice pop and for us to test this fib resistance again. So that's what I'm looking for with Bitcoin short term. Once again, I think this is attractive. It doesn't scare me too much if we do move down to 8.4, 8.5, right? This is where I would take a new trade. I think this would be a really attractive trade, but I just don't think we get it. I think we move back to resistance, and I actually think we move through. So sentiment going into consensus, the narrative that I kind of talked about in tonight's post, which I hadn't heard before, let me make sure this is still working, which I hadn't heard before, was consensus being a nice boost for price. And consensus, some people are saying it sparked kind of the bull run at the end of last year. I don't necessarily know if it sparked it. Correlation is not always, or causation and correlation not always the same thing. But I do think, there's definitely a buzz kind of going into the month of May. I don't think consensus in any way could be a negative event. So interesting. It could be a nice catalyst regardless. My view has been since we were here, and I hope that I kind of communicated this clearly, I've kind of talked about wanting to stay net long here. And that's just because I do believe the reversal has already happened. We consolidated above this kind of defining downtrend all-time high line, this yellow line here, and ever since we've moved up. So in my opinion, the reversal has happened. The risk on sentiment is now that's the new trend shift, and that we are trending higher, right? So I imagine, for all of these moves down, I'm assuming they're dips, and I'm assuming to buy, and I'm just expecting the trend to continue, right? It's not as we're moving down, you expect the trend to go lower, right? And as we're moving up, it's just the direction I think we're moving. So that's kind of where I have my eyes set for Bitcoin's next move. I think we do test this resistance, and it'll be interesting to see how it interacts with this trendline resistance as well in the fib zone. So that's what I'm looking for there. Once again, next support is below. I just don't think we get it. So that's what I'm looking for with Bitcoin, guys. The point of this stream, though, is definitely more alt-focused. So the first thing I want to think or talk about, which I saw tossed around today and really tossed around on Twitter probably for the first time this weekend and to begin this week, was the idea that alt season is over, and that we've reached definitely a local top for alts. Alts aren't going to go any higher, and we're going to kind of continue in an alt bear trend or in some kind of bear trend for the overall market for a while. Well, I think some of what I saw being said on Twitter is correct. I do think it's good to take profits on the way up. So as things hit their targets, whether it's ETH and you're trading ETH and it's moving up and it's hitting these local targets and you're taking profits, that's fine. Or whether it's Loom or Tomo and you're taking some profits at a 2x or a 3x, that's fine. Or NAV, if it hits its first 40% target and you take some profits, I think that's fine. What I think gets a little bit gray is when the idea gets thrown around that it's a binary decision to move completely out of alts, and you know what I mean? So to close out all alt exposure, to say, this is kind of the top for alts, you better be taking profits on all your positions, no matter where they are, and just be ready to buy back lower. That's the only play. Get out of your alts and buy back lower. To me, when a market is trending up, like we have here now, we have positive momentum for alts, just like we have it with Bitcoin. I wouldn't sell all my Bitcoin right now, even if I kind of thought this was a local top for Bitcoin. The reason I wouldn't do that is I want to stay exposed to the trend. Right? If there's positive momentum in the direction that we're moving, right, and that's just a hedge against my timing. And even if I think my timing is the best in the world, you just want to let the trend do most of the work. That's not to say you couldn't sell some at the local top and buy back in. I just don't think it's ever a binary decision to move completely out of alts and then to move back in. Now, moving past that and kind of looking at the decision of whether or not I think alt season is over and this is a local top, I don't. As a matter of fact, I actually think we're kind of closer to this being a support, and I would call this kind of the next local top for alts. Talked about this a while ago before this trade kind of went to break even, but it looks like it's giving us almost that exact same trade setup again. So it looks like ETH is prepared to make this move or kind of this next leap. I talked about this, I think this was this weekend. I'll remain bullish alts as long as we stay above this 0.071 for ETH, right? There's no reason to be bearish alts if ETH has been such a good indicator, and it is trending up. I just imagine that the rest of the alt universe is also going to trend up and move with it, right? Or whether they're leading the way or ETH is leading the way. This has just been such a good indicator. So as ETH moves up and stays above this fib support, that's all I need to know in terms of confirmation of whether ETH and other alts are going to continue higher, right? I don't need to take my emotions or my fear or disbelief or anything like that into account. I just want to have, this is kind of my rule set, right? This is my system. This is how I'm going to determine if an alt season or it's a local top and I need to move out of alts. Now, if this support breaks and ETH starts moving down and we start trending lower and we're going to hit this support, then I could make a case for maybe taking more profits on alts and wanting to buy back, trying to buy back more lower. But for now, that almost seems like a selling at support play, and I know that if you look across the ETH or the alt universe, you actually see a bunch of alts at resistance, not at support like ETH is, but to me, kind of taking complete profits or taking massive profits across alts, in my opinion, that's leaving a lot on the table. And I do think that this momentum and this trend continues. If historically it's the same, it's going to continue through about May or June, right? I'm not sure if it's going to be historically the same. But I do think that in this risk-on environment, and just in kind of that alt cycle study we did the other day, Bitcoin can definitely smack alts down, but I think they are trending higher. And I don't want to get too much in the way of that. Right, so to me, and just my personal view, I do not think alt season is over. I do not think the alt party is over. Right, that's just my view though. Right, I could be wrong, but this is kind of what this is what I really enjoy studying. This is what I try to focus the most on, is really moving slow and understanding the bigger cycles. So I still like exposure to alts here. I want to stay exposed really as much as I can. Right, so that's my view. That's my call. Wanted to kind of clarify that today because I know a lot of people have been talking about it or asking about it. So hopefully that clarifies a little bit. A few things I want to, Rick said, hey Luke, when would you take another ETH long play? We don't appear to be mid-trade. Rick, I'm in just a small position, right? I definitely didn't take as big of a position as the last one. I'm in a small position on BitMEX, entry at about 725. Right now, I think on BitMEX, it's lingering around, I think it's actually higher. I think it's like 7.5. If I could get it around 7.3 or 7.2, and ETH is presenting an interesting opportunity in the sense that there's this decision, there's this talk on Monday with the CFTC and SEC, and they're talking about whether or not ETH is going to be a security or whether alts are going to be a security. Just that uncertainty might lead to a slight dip, right? Another kind of retest of this support. And I think that would be a nice entry for a trade. If I could get anything really, in my opinion, 7.3 or really even 7.35 below into moving higher, that I would take that trade, Rick. I've been kind of following this fractal, and I mentioned this in the last stream. And if you use fractals, great. If you don't, then that's fine as well. I just want to kind of point this out, especially if, Rick, you're tracking this one. Interesting fractal playing out here with ETH. And I'm just going to label this really quick. So if we have the initial move up, right, this is kind of point number one. And then we have kind of this peak, which is a really nice spike, and then a sharp drop off, right? We're going to call that 2. And then we have a second, the next peak or the recovery after this drop off is a higher move, right? So let's just kind of see where we are. We have 1, the initial run up. 2, we kind of have this sharp peak wick sell off. The second move is now higher, right? So that's where we are. And then we have a sell off through fib support, a nice recovery, and then we trend higher. So we've had now the sell off through support, a nice recovery, and then we've trended higher. So it's been an interesting, I'm not sure, it's a bit of an ugly fractal. I'm sure if I drew it up with letters and numbers and colored boxes, I can make it look a little bit nicer. But I think, it's just kind of another way to say I am still bullish alts, I am still bullish ETH. I don't think this is the most attractive entry if I was to play this range. Right, this leaves me about 10%, and I'll be comfortable giving it kind of below this swing low, I guess. I don't know. That gives me almost a 2-to-1. I would definitely want something a little bit closer to 7.2 or 7.3. Cool. Cool, Rick. Zero, where are we at? There's a good discussion on this Discord. Wanted to get your thoughts on government discussing if ETH and other alts are securities and de-risk from possible fallout. Yeah, Zero, that's a really good question. One way that you can do that is on BitMEX, and a couple of guys have talked about this, and I don't really think there's too many good opportunities to use this, but you certainly could. I'm not going to. I don't plan to. I honestly just don't think. I think price would be reflecting, and maybe it's just me being a little bit cynical. I think there's always kind of market participants that are going to know maybe things that other people don't know in terms of how a regulation is going to play out, or in terms of certain announcements like this. For some reason, I feel like the market would be reacting a little bit stronger if the SEC and CFTC were about to kind of make statements that were negative. So I'm not saying that everyone's going to know kind of ahead of time and market price would be reflected. Usually there is a little bit of an uncertainty kind of priced in, and things will trend lower, or volatility will at least pick up, but we haven't seen that, right? The market's been kind of remarkably confident going into this thing. So I haven't read too much into it. I'm going to read more tonight. I'm going to read an article or two tonight. But my view on this, and guys, I have no more insight than any of you, right? I don't talk to any government officials, but my view on this is if they were going to stomp out ETH, I think they would have done it instead of trying to kind of approach scamming ICOs, right? They've kind of let the mechanism run on and just kind of tried to stop some of the bad output. I don't think they're going to completely stop the mechanism. I actually think they've been quite supportive of kind of the movement that's been happening. So I don't think they're going to stomp this out. Maybe there's like one or two bad quotes, but to be quite honest, I don't think there's a negative outcome from it. If I was to hedge Zero, and you did want to hedge or take away some of that risk for ETH or other alts, you could definitely open up a short on ETH, right? You could open up a short on ETH on BitMEX, just a 1-to-1. You don't even have to leverage it. So for every ETH you have, or however much Bitcoin alt exposure you had, you could definitely hedge that exposure on BitMEX. But I'm not going to personally. But that's one way to do it. That's really one of the nice ways to kind of hedge using a future that it's kind of one of the purposes, right, of those futures contracts. But I'm not going to do that personally. Good question. Where are we at? A couple things I want to talk about with there's a lot of stuff actually I want to talk about. So three. We're coming up on 18 anyways. All right, so 2 Bittrex plays. I can crush through those. Yep, of course. Happy to give my view. That's all I can always do. The 2 Bittrex plays, and it's so funny. Interestingly, I kind of like the negative sentiment and some of the crap you hear on Twitter. If anyone mentions Bittrex or kind of talks about Bittrex coins, everyone kind of says Bittrex is dead. I kind of like that negative sentiment about it. For some reason, I've always liked non-crowded trades, especially in coins, because when the rest of the market does find out about it, or they start moving, not even that they ever need to be hyped on Twitter, right? But it's just like being positioned early in. I'm sure everyone's had a play like this. If you're positioned early in a coin and then it starts moving, and then Twitter or the general market or whoever it is finds out about it, then it has legs kind of moving forward, right? If hype is the initial, if everyone knows about it and the hype is the initial push, it can kind of run out of steam. So I kind of like that people have really dismissed or kind of hit Bittrex pretty hard lately. If I mention Bittrex on Twitter, even, I get like almost 30 comments of hate saying, you're an idiot, get off Bittrex, what are you doing? So interesting kind of sentiment, little touch I just wanted to mention there. Yeah, game, we mentioned it. I would just rewind like a minute or two. But I want to talk about that more. I'll jump into the discussion in the Discord with you guys. So anyways, the 2 plays that I really wanted to track, and I mentioned in alt trade ideas or updates. Oh, nice. Cool. Oh, Dave, I think I remember that. The 2 usernames. Anyways, looking at the 2 plays that I mentioned in alt trade ideas again, and this was, I think, Friday or Saturday. I really wanted to mention them again because I thought they were the 2 most attractive technical plays on Bittrex, right? And honestly, I'm just viewing Bittrex as a Cryptopia. I don't even think it's as bad as Cryptopia. I just definitely think it's dead in terms of volume. Who knows? I'm hoping for a revival in 2018, but I'm not so sure it's going to happen. Anyways, the 2 ideas that were technically attractive enough for me to take are Edge and Mu. And I mentioned both these. The reason I like these, I've said it a million times, so I'm going to rush through it. December 5th, December 7th support, we're still there, right? So every other alt almost across the board has moved up that 30 or 40%, and we're just still sitting along that support, which is so rare. right? So, I had to enter Edge, had to enter Mu as well. They're both up a small percent. One of the coolest things about kind of this recent movement on Edge that I really liked hearing and seeing in the group was people, one, using alerts kind of for these, maybe less liquid alts or for alt pairs that are along their all-time lows. So I know some people had alerts here instead of stops. So instead of getting stopped out when a wick shot through, people got alerts. And then the other thing that I absolutely loved, this was probably the coolest thing I saw, was people stacking bids moving into that support. And I think I saw literally 3 or 4 people all say, they got their bids filled around 6,700 or below 7K, and almost within seconds, they're already in the profit. So Edge, I'm in. I really still like it along support. It's up with, oh man, someone else used my computer. It's a little bit scary. So Edge and Mu, I just wanted to kind of bring this up again. Really still like Edge in that zone, and both of the Bittrex plays are up slightly. I just saw it on my Blockfolio. Kind of a nice little sign there that they're both orders got filled, and they're both trending up. Mu, exact same thing, right? It already kind of had a small uptick, but nothing serious. If we're looking kind of at the grand scheme of things, still right along December 5th, December 7th low support, and you know what I mean? That accumulation range, that zone, that's all I can really ever ask for. I just think that's too attractive. So I just wanted to bring that up with the 2 Bittrex plays. Definitely not advice, but it's nice to see kind of both of them upticking or looking to lift out of the accumulation zone. So just a couple more thoughts on Bittrex there. The 3 plays that I kind of wanted to move on with, and I went over this, I think it was in one of the last streams. It was a bit disappointing. If you guys remember, I closed out APPC. So I had, I think I had 4 of these trades open that were all almost the exact same in terms of setup. And the setup was kind of this double bottom reversal, retest entry, and off we go. So the other 3 that I thought were much stronger, and kind of the reason that I closed out APPC, was I was trying to consolidate positions going into May. There's 3 positions which I thought were almost the exact same, right, that I wanted to keep tracking. These were Stratus. This was Stratus, OST, and WABI. Stratus is absolutely flying. So this is going to be a really nice win for us, guys. Original entry down here around 53,000 sats, already up around 60%, and I think it's definitely going to hit the 2x. Right, so that's kind of the next target I have for Strat. I saw a lot of people start to talk about this one on Twitter lately. So this one is moving really nice. I also gave a second entry on this. If anyone wanted to follow kind of the other entry I gave, the other entry was an A&E playing the retest, right? I tried to give an update that was going to happen, and now we're off to the races again. So really kind of glad, and I talked about this at APPC, I think it was 2 days ago. It sucked. It's one of the worst feelings moving kind of out of a coin right before it moves, right? But I didn't want to kind of take away from a strat or take away from simple token and jump back into that. I just kind of have to have conviction and think, if APPC moved, these are the exact same setups. I think these are stronger coins. I think they will have their day. So it's nice to see Strat kind of get that lift off today that I, that I just anticipated, that I thought would happen eventually. I like that move. So pleased with Strat and moving really nicely. The next areas I'd be looking to take profit. I think we're going to hit resistance actually pretty soon. But really the levels I want to be taking profit at are going to be pretty much a 2x from the original entry down here at 53,000 sats, so up in the 100,000 sat range, maybe 98,000 sats, and then the kind of way up here. That's what it is. Strat ICO platform launches on May 9th. Tommy, nice finding that catalyst. And then the second one, guys, is going to be kind of this all-time high, this 150,000 sats. That could turn into a really nice 3x of kind of a bigger platformer, kind of a mid-cap that is going to do well. Right, so this is also a good illustration that it's not only kind of the small caps that are going to be bid upside. If you can position in and play a nice, clean technical trade, I actually think some of these are lower risk too. So really, really happy with the way this worked out, and that catalyst is definitely helping. It's also funny seeing kind of Twitter and everyone catch on to it in the last day or two. So I'm glad we're positioned, or hopefully I mentioned these enough. The other 2 that I think are actually going to kind of follow the same path, and I've been watching them kind of all trade the exact same, is Simple Token and WABI. And WABI also looks like it's ready for its next leg up. Right, so exact same setup, double bottom, enter on the retest, right? The nice part about simple token is now that we've crossed kind of above this next red resistance, you can see move above, daily candle comes back down and retests, and now that the daily is green, and it looks like we're kind of ready for that next leg up. So the first area that I'd be looking to take profits is going to be this 50 or 60% level up around 3,800 sats. Right, so nothing to do yet with simple token, but STRAT is kind of leading the way. So this STRAT and WABI are all really the exact same trade, right? All kind of making that same move, and I just want to keep exposure. This is all, you know, going back to really quick what we talked about at the beginning of the stream. I just think you're kind of selling yourself short if you're moving out of alts and not capturing these runs, right? It feels so mid trade. It feels a little bit premature to me. Same thing with WABI. 45% I think would be. I think you could de-risk a little bit early if you wanted to here. That'd be around 1,700 sat or 17,000 sats. I think the real play is a 2x up to around 23,000 sats. So those kind of remain three of kind of my core. Those were nice. I think they were a little bit lower risk, strong fundamental trades, right? And I really like how all three of those are moving. So missed the APPC move, but you know, I mentioned this in the stream that I covered APPC. I want to stay with these, regardless if I miss that move. You know, I can't kind of dwell on it and sell these and move back into APPC. I'm going to let these ones kind of do the catching up. Right, so if you're with me on those, I like letting them run until their targets still. Those are kind of the three that I wanted to bring up in terms of alt updates. Where else we at? ENG, new info. I saw that Mahesh kind of mentioned, so ENG, guys, I told you I expected a really nice kind of news, some news output coming from ENG, from Enigma. If you're not familiar, definitely take a look. Been one of my favorite coins actually for a while. And now looking at ENG, I think technically it's getting more and more attractive as well. So I drew this in the original idea. Let me actually delete some of this noise going on here. So the original idea, right, price was at resistance. I wanted us to take a dip down to at least this green entry. I didn't get my bids filled yet, but we did get a dip down there. Now I've been kind of looking at this a different way, right? And I'm kind of looking at it in an ascending triangle type pattern. So I still don't know what that announcement is going to be, but they do have an announcement slot at Consensus. And I think Mahesh said that they were announcing, what was it, that their mainnet or something is going live for Enigma. I didn't even know they were going to have kind of their own net. So be interesting if I can kind of find out where Mahesh saw that. Mahesh, if you're in here, throw that in. But I like this ascending triangle that Enigma is setting up. I think an ideal entry is still around the 28,000 sat. And then this kind of, if we got to break out of that ascending triangle too, I think that would be a really, really nice entry. And this is around 30,500 sats. So Enigma remains kind of one of my highest conviction plays, probably up there 1 or 2 and one of my highest conviction plays going into May. I want to be positioned into Enigma. And I still have a nice bag from the ICO, but I actually want to add more for a little bit of a trade here. Right, so I want to be positioned in this. I think the narrative, this is one of the better narratives that I've seen or that no one has really talked about, kind of talking about, you know, uncrowded trades. I like how under the radar pretty much this one is right now. So I like ENG right now, guys. Wanted to give one more update on that. It was a recent trade idea. I like to remind people of what I'm looking at. That's kind of one of the feedback I get the most is that you know, someone missed an opportunity and they say, wow, you know, I wish I would have heard about that one again. I'm never trying to pump coins. I hope everyone understands that. Never advice, literally just kind of trying to remind every single day. What else? We're at 30 minutes. I'm going to rush through this next one. Ooh, actually, no. We have the new alt trade idea, so I don't want to rush through it. The new alt trade idea, it's not on here, but it is on CoinMarketCap. So this is an interesting play, and I spoke with the IDEX team. It was one of the teams. I didn't actually know it was moving up this much today. I still haven't started my bag yet, so don't kind of all pump the price on me here. I'm gonna move slow into this. It's definitely a longer term play. So let me kind of walk through what I'm looking at with Aurora. If you're unfamiliar, this is one of the tokens involved in the IDEX kind of ecosystem. So IDEX is a really interesting platform. I've been talking about it a lot more as we've kind of been, and I'm sure you see Twitter talking about it more, as more people are jumping into you know, coins on IDEX. It's kind of the best decentralized exchange, I would say, right now, or one of the best, one of the ones that I use the most, right? So IDEX has two tokens. They have IDXM and then they have Aura. And I think they actually have a few other tokens as well. IDXM, once I can get down here. So IDXM gives you a membership into IDEX. So if you hold one IDXM, you get you get no trade fees on the IDEX platform. Aura is a little bit different. And just how IDEX works right now, just a little bit of background. Right now they have a decentralized exchange, but the order matching and everything is actually happening on their centralized servers. Right? So it's actually kind of a centralized DEX. Right? It is matching my order with your order. There is no, sure, there might be some market makers as well. You're allowed to connect with API, but it's not, we're not hooking up to Binance. They're not holding custody of our funds, but they are still executing on their servers. What their plan is to become fully decentralized, and this isn't necessarily on the roadmap yet. I just learned this. I talked to one of their team members for about an hour, really nice guy, kind of learning how tokens get listed there and such. Anyways, one of the things they want to do, and he said it's planned for Q3, but it'll probably be Q4, is to make it a truly decentralized exchange. They're going to set up masternodes or nodes with Aura token holders. So if you hold a certain amount of Aura tokens, and it hasn't been decided yet. I tried to push and try to get an answer here. It just has not been decided yet. If you hold a certain amount of Aura coins, you can run a masternode. Eventually, once there's enough nodes supporting the system, I'm not sure if they're going to call them masternodes. Once there's enough nodes supporting the system, the exchange will. Yeah, IDXM does cost 5.7K. Once you have enough Aura tokens, and if you're running a node, it will be a truly decentralized exchange in the sense that the order and the matching and everything won't be running on Aurora or IDEX's servers. It'll be running, it'll be confirmed through the Aura node holders. The other interesting play here is not only will there be an incentive to get a masternode, but the masternodes or the nodes are going to collect 50% of the trading fees that are happening on the IDEX. So if more of, if the trading fees continue and the exchange continues to get more interest and all that, Aura node holders, and also there's going to be an incentive as well to hold Aura tokens. You're going to collect fees from IDEX. So this really isn't announced yet. It's not too public. This is definitely kind of a smaller gem play. It'll definitely be Q3 or Q4 until it develops, but I really like trying to get ahead of the curve with you guys. I think that's something we did with Tomo and Loom very well. That is not at all saying this is going to perform like Tomo and Loom. I just look for narratives. Even today, I felt terrible that I couldn't work all day or be in the group with you guys, but trust me, I was every single minute or hour, I was trying to meet someone new and get an angle or a play that we could make. So I really like this play. I like this narrative a lot. I'm always searching for narratives. I am going to make a play on this. I have no idea what the chart looks like. It is a relatively small coin right now, around 25 million. So off its all-time highs a little bit, right? It was up at 50 cents cash. If we're looking at Bitcoin value, where are we at? If we're looking at Bitcoin value, looks like we've been, so we're right around 2,400 sats. All-time high is around 4,200 sats, so about 50% from all-time high, trending up nicely. So I do like this play. I just think it's going to take some time to kind of come to fruition. But an interesting play there. I wanted to bring it up because I know there's actually a lot of activity in our masternode or kind of mining or staking channel that everyone likes, right? So that's what I'm looking at for Aura. That's kind of the new exciting trade idea I had for you. That you're really not going to find out unless you go talk to the team. So one of those nice little gems there. Hopefully it turns into something nice Q3, Q4. Definitely not trade advice, just passing along information and looking for new narratives. If anything, even if you don't like this play, don't like this angle, not interested in nodes, or don't like IDEX, it's an interesting way that you can kind of look for new plays, or really kind of it's a testament to definitely go to meetups and definitely go to conferences. You just learn things that you aren't able to get other places. So I think the ROI for me has been massive. So that's what I got, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the stream. I went through a bunch of stuff. I had a lot of stuff I wanted to talk about, especially since I couldn't be in the group all day. And then tomorrow morning we'll be on a little bit more of a normal schedule. I'm crossing my fingers. All right, so I'm speaking at about 9 or 9:30 in the morning. With Ran, I'm going to give a few trade ideas. He's putting me on the spot and making me choose 3 coins, which I really don't like doing. But I guess I'm going to pick 3 coins. So I'm thinking Enigma, and then I kind of need to come up with 2 others. It might even be ETH and something else. But anyways, after my short talk, 9 or 9:30, probably going to try to go around the conference one more time, meet a few more people, shake some hands, and then head out. And hopefully I can get home and be able to do the stream. I'll probably do it tomorrow night, so I can do an actual live stream, like in my office, so I can actually do be able to see what's going on here. So that's what I got. Tomorrow's schedule might once again be a little bit mixed up just because I'm at the conference, but that's just how it is. Game of Coins, Aura sitting at resistance, looks like. Yeah, I don't know the technicals behind it, right? I just wanted to pass along kind of that narrative, that news I was finding out today. I have no idea technicals. I haven't charted it at all. Just wanted to pass along the news as I got it, guys. Cool. Nice. Hope everyone enjoyed the stream. Thanks for stopping in, everyone. I need to send my charts over to Ran. I'm going to get some rest. And I will see all of you guys tomorrow morning. I'll be in the group really until I go to bed, so I'll just be probably sitting down here in the lobby and working. So join the discussion about the regulation. I want to read some of those articles and continue to follow some of these coins. My view stands, not talking about Bitcoin, about ETH and alts, and I hope that helps some of you. And I'm definitely not going to write all the time, but I hope that kind of clarifies. I know a lot of people asked or wanted to know, is alt season over and all that. My call, my view is you're really leaving a lot. I would feel like I'm leaving a lot on the table if I start closing out, large portions of my exposure. Even if we get a dip, I just want to continue to ride the momentum. That's just my view, my call. So anyways, signing off, guys. I will see you tomorrow, or I'll be in the group a little bit more. Cheers, Dean, Tommy, Dave. Signing off, guys. Everyone else in here, have a good night. See you tomorrow.